The separate sense of self is never going to be able to quantum shift into your highest timeline. So as long as you're identified as this separate human self with all of your dramas and troubles and problems and all of the things you're trying to fix and figure out or control or manipulate, you're not going to be shifting into your highest timeline. You're always going to feel that it's right around the corner. You're always going to feel that you're waiting on something. You're always going to feel like it's right there, but you won't be experiencing it as your lived experience. You won't be experiencing the magnetism that is a clear earmark you have shifted. And this is your field calling in all that is meant for you. You are the field. So let's talk about this. I'm going to share a few pointers that are coming up. So the separate sense of self is overly focused on the external world of form, calling it real, and then responding to that. And so you're always at the effect level of whatever's happening in your 3D world. One of the members in Embody the Empress a few weeks ago was saying, yeah, but this, and this is happening, so this is real. I said, no, it's not real. It's illusory, meaning it is not as it seems. If you are looking through your naked physical eye and you're looking outside to the 3D physical world and calling it real and then reacting to that, you are at the effect level and you're giving all of your power away. Is it real? It's real and not real. It's illusory at best, meaning it is not as it seems. It appears, for example, solid, although it's not solid. It's all energy vibrating, it's frequency. The observer effect in science has proven that consciousness, when focused on matter, changes matter. You are the consciousness. You are the field, the boundless, eternal field. You are the spaciousness. And so everything on this journey is backward. I'm going to be releasing probably a series. This is coming up, and I channeled this out the other day, quantum ascension phases, because ultimately, this is your ascension journey. If you're treating it as anything else, you're not going to be shifting into your highest timeline. So what does that mean? It means that the separate sense of self is not what you're going to be able to stay identified with. You are not the separate human self. You are not your problems, your past, your woundings, your future projections, the mind patterns, the emotional patterns, the belief systems, the conditioning. You are prior to that. You are the field. When I say that this is all backwards, I mean everything is backwards from what you have known your reality to be and from what you have known yourself to be up until this point. So when we say the external world is not real and it's illusory, meaning it's not as it seems, it appears solid, but it's not solid. Also, when you perceive the space between what appears to be solid, this spaciousness appears empty. It's not empty, it's full. This spaciousness is full. This spaciousness is what allows the form to form. It allows the form to express within this spaciousness. You are this spaciousness. You are this boundless, timeless, ageless, eternal presence that is beyond, prior to whatever words you want to use. Words are just words. They can't bring you here. This can only be your felt direct experience. So, what happens during this sacred in-between phase that you find yourself in, because there are different phases of this quantum ascension process, right? These different phases. The first phase is most likely when a lot of you had your twin flame catalyst come in and you had all of your abandonment wounds triggered and everything was rocked to the core and you went through many deaths and rebirths and you began to no longer identify and undo the conditioned patterns of codependent love or seeking external validation. And all of the places that you have been seeking external validation have been pulled out. The rug's been pulled out from under you in so many different ways. So there's a relinquishing period where you realize what you are not, and you are stripped of all of the places, all of the attachments, all of the, all of the attachments of where you have given your power away. And then you move into the sacred in-between phase where you have left the shore of the old self. You have left the old identity. And this is where many of you find yourself now in this in-between phase. I often refer to this as a metaphor in a lot of the trainings that I put out or transmissions. You've left the old shore. You can't go back. You know this. Your old life doesn't fit anymore and things are crumbling away. Old jobs, relationships, living situations, all the things. You can't cling to those anymore. And the more you cling to them, the more they crumble. So it's like you're trying to board a sinking ship. You can't go back. You're at sea. You're in this in-between phase where you've left the shore of the old self, but you haven't yet arrived within the new identity, the identity that is one with the divine presence. And it's not even like a quote unquote identity per se, because you're not here to create another identity. All identities dissolve, but you're not embodying yet the divine presence that you are. And the only thing that keeps you from reaching that shore, so to speak, is detaching from fear. As this all boils down to fear or love, and you are here to be a living, walking, talking example of what is possible when you choose love and truth and freedom over fear. And so things are going to be falling away during the sacred in-between phase, which many of you are experiencing right now. And to the degree that you try to hold on to them is to the degree that you will suffer and to the degree that they will continue to crumble because you cannot cling to the old identity and the old structures. And you can no longer cling to anything out of fear. You are being guided to embody your authentic truth. And you can't fake this. You can't fake your frequency. You can't fake your truth. Your soul, the divine presence within you, that is the unique expression of you, the oneness expressed as you, is calling you towards your most authentic expression, which means you can no longer lie to yourself in this phase. You can no longer abandon yourself. You can no longer make decisions that are not self-honoring. You can no longer cling to anything out of fear. And so what does this mean is you are challenged to let go during this phase of everything that is not serving you and be fully anchored in your trust and your knowing and your faith. And your knowing and your trust grows stronger and stronger. The more you trust yourself, the more you take sacred action on what you know to be true. This is where you will be faced with many big and small divine choice points to choose yourself, to choose truth, to choose the most self-honoring decision, to choose what feels like love, to what feels like alignment, what feels like higher frequency. And during this phase, the mind will come in and try to loop you and hook you back into living from fear. And the 3D reality, which is an echo of what you have been conscious of being, is going to be reflecting back to you opportunities to get you hooked back into fear. And as long as you're looking at your external world as real, as something that you need to take seriously, and I'm not saying that you don't have healthy discernment, so don't twist this. I'm not saying you don't have healthy discernment, but this is about being able to see with true spiritual vision not through the 3D eyes of the human vessel, but through true spiritual vision, and be anchored in your presence. You are the spaciousness. The world is arising within you. The world of form is arising within you. And this is where you begin to take your throne as the divine creatrix, when you are the field and everything is arising within you. And every time there's some fear-based energy that tries to hook you, that is an opportunity for you to make a divine choice of what you are available for. Not from hoping, not from wishing, not from begging the universe or some God outside of you to save you, but from you declaring what you are available for from a place of sovereignty. And as you cut loose from everything that is no longer serving you, the old timelines, the old careers, the old relationships, the old living arrangement, the old neighborhood, the old community, like the old friendships, like whatever, things will naturally start to fizzle away. And to the degree that you release the illusion of control, because if you haven't figured out yet on this journey, you don't have as much control as you think you do. And as you surrender more and more and release the illusion of control and anchor in your trust and faith, you see miracles move mountains in your life that you cannot explain. And and then what comes up at this phase is being open to receive them without guilt, knowing that you are worthy of receiving, and you will be, some of you may be at this point right now where you will be receiving abundance, right? Things will be flowing easily, effortlessly, magnetizing in, because your field is doing all the heavy lifting. Your field is calling it in, so to speak. And receiving now unconditionally without resistance, and being open to receive, because anytime you try to control or resist or push anything away, it's coming from fear. And you cannot be anchored to the fear grid matrix, to fear-based consciousness, and move into your highest timeline. Your highest timeline is your ascension journey, which means you're not going to be able to take the separate self with you, which is rooted in fear-based consciousness, which is AKA separation consciousness, which is rooted in duality and rooted in the mind. The mind is rooted in duality. So you will no longer be able to live from the conceptual mind that's rooted in fear and move into your highest timeline. This is your ascension journey. You are the spaciousness. You are the timeless, eternal, conscious presence that is here now. There is nothing to figure out. There is nothing to do. There is no future or past in this moment. There's no problems. There's no old conditioning or woundings you have to go wrestle to the ground. And I know this sounds annoying, maybe, if you're listening to this and you're earlier on in the journey. And there's nothing wrong with the earlier phases of the journey. There's some spiritual teachers out there that demonize the earlier phase of this journey, where you do go through the alchemy and the purification and detangling and undoing yourself from the wounds that you have identified with mistakenly through ignorance. That's all. You are remembering now. You are waking up from a state of ignorance and remembering the truth of who you are. And as you do, it takes care of all of the things that you think you need to fix and figure out. The conditioning, the body's conditioning that's been holding on to the old paradigms and the old patterns, will naturally fizzle out. And you're not here to reject those things. Things will come up. So you will be guided to see through and to feel and to be with and not suppress and repress old emotions that have been buried and suppressed, or shame that is bubbling up, or any of those things. So this is not a denial of life. This is not a denial of anything. If anything, it is a it is the acceptance of every moment in the moment for what it is, and a rejection of nothing. So if you are trying to shift into your highest timeline and you are quote unquote trying. I mean, there's so many key words here, trying and you. Those are the two words you should be thinking about right now. You and trying. There is no you, and trying is you trying to figure it out from a false sense of self. So there is no trying to figure this out. There is no you to figure this out. There is just presence, that you are the field. And when you are able to release the grip on the steering wheel, like the separate sense of self that wants to try to control things, it's very paradoxical. The more you release the illusion of control, the more things actually work out in your favor. The more you actually become magnetic to your highest desires and timelines, because you are already love at your core. You are the highest frequency at your core. You just have things weighing down your frequency because you've been identifying with them. So as you begin to identify, and again, this isn't about creating another identity, but as you begin to identify with the truth of who you are, which is here and now, even more clearly, I would say it is the here-ness and the now-ness of the moment, which is what your true identity is. You are the here-ness and the now-ness. You are the, you are more of a verb than you are a noun. You are the, I am the Sarahing of this moment. I am the Sarahing of this moment, but it is not this identity that's hardened into form, that is rigid and has all of these things that I need to figure out and fix. That is the old paradigm. That is moving from 3D consciousness into the 4D paradigm, where you still have a lot of shit to figure out and fix and healing to do. And you don't have anything to fix anymore or any healing to do. You just have remembrance of who the fuck you truly are at the core of your being. And when you are embodied in the truth of who you are at the core of your being, everything else takes care of itself. Your body will naturally be uh, purified and detoxed from the light of consciousness and the light codes that are being activated within you. You're beholding a higher frequency. You would be shining the light of consciousness on any of the illusions that are springing up within the field, and you are able to see through them very quickly and no longer identify them. You're just like, oh yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. You're no longer clinging to it like this is my identity, right? And so to even be listening to this transmission, you have already agreed on a soul level that you're on the path of ascension. The ego identity is not going to be going with you into your 5D timeline, your ascension timeline, your new earth timeline. And this doesn't mean you don't have an ego moving forward. Ego is part of the creation process. But the ego now assists your higher mind and your heart and your divine will. It is a tool to be used to create your divine reality. It is not the driver of the train, right? It is not what's in charge anymore. It is used as a tool. It is taking its rightful place as a servant to creation, to the creation process, which is now governed by divine will. And the egoic will is no longer trying to grip the steering wheel. It's taking a back seat. It's along for the ride. There's no reason you don't kill off the ego. You will have an ego as long as you're here on planet Earth existing in this form. That's the game you came here to play. You came here to play. You came here for this. You came here to play this game, to sift your way through duality, through illusion, through all of it, and remember who you are. If you're trying to get into your highest timeline, and again, the fact that there's a you there trying to do it should be your first clue that you're never going to get there, because there's no place to get, because your highest timeline is here now, living through you as the expression of the one that is you. You are a unique expression of the one, and so is everyone else that appears separate to you. And I say appears separate to you because it is like trying to say the sun rays are separate from the sun. We're all the sun appearing as separate rays. When you are anchored in your divine presence, you are now one with all that is. There is no separation. You are the abundance that you seek. You are the love that you seek. You are the lover that you seek. You are the money that you seek. You are the clients that you seek. You are the person at the bank that's going to approve your bank loan. You are the bank. You are all the things. The world outside of you is illusory at best. You are the field of which everything arises within you. And this is not to be figured out by the logical mind, because your logical mind is going to be thinking like, what the fuck is she talking about? It's not for your mind. You won't figure this out with the mind. The mind will just keep you looping. And I know when I used to hear this message years ago, it would be so frustrating. And you're closer than close to the truth. You're so close to the truth. It's looking through your eyes right now that you can't see it because you're looking out for the truth everywhere else except for where it is, which is you. So you are what you are seeking. It's you are seeking what you are is what you are looking from. You are it. That's why you can't find it. That's why you can't find your divinity. That's why you can't seek out your divinity. That's why you can't figure it out because you are it. And so let's talk about the mind really quick because this is ultimately the embodiment and self-actualization, self-realization, but then actualized in your physical vessel. You are here now. Are you not? You are here now. When you jump up to the mind and you are in a conceptual reality, when you're jumping up to the mind trying to figure everything out, you are living from labels, you are living from projection, you are living from a thought pattern, you are identified with a thought pattern, you are living from a projection into the future or a memory of the past, a thought pattern or a conditioning or an emotion or something like that, and now you're reacting to it and you're living in this conceptual reality. In this conceptual reality, you could kind of think of it as like this overlay over the truth of reality. And so most people will spend their entire life living in this conceptual reality, jumping between good and bad and all the the polarity identified in it as it, and living from this this matrix, this mental programming, this conceptual reality that keeps you sucked, bouncing back and forth like like a little rag doll. It's very exhausting. There will be coping mechanisms that come up the ego will use to try to keep you from coming home to yourself. And these could be anything that causes a distraction, anything that keeps you from slowing down, anything that keeps you from the silence and the stillness, which is the gateway home. Let me repeat this. The silence and the stillness is the gateway home. So where are you filling your days with more shit to do? Where are you trying to always run errands? Where are you binging out to television? There's nothing wrong with any of those things, but if you're on this ascension journey and you're wondering why you still feel stuck, but yet you're allowing all of these coping mechanisms to come in and hook your awareness and hook your consciousness, so you're never spending any time in the stillness and the silence, that is just a sneaky way the ego is coming in the back door to keep you stuck from fully experiencing the truth of who you are. Let me repeat this. The silence and the stillness is the gateway to the truth of who you are. It is what you are. And the more you have coping mechanisms that keep you from this, the more you will continue to just feel like you're in a hamster wheel. And it's very exhausting. There was something else coming up. There's oh, some other ego hooks that come up. I don't have a ponytail for this, so I'm just trying to pull it in a knot because it's annoying me. 1 second. Trying to just, I don't know if this is going to work. But anyways, what was I talking about? What was I sharing? It'll come to me. There are some other sneaky ego hooks that come up on this path. And one of them is, this is a good one. Now what? Now what? This is boring. Oh, this is good. I'm getting full body chills. You have lived from your presence so many times without realizing it. It's so close to you. One of the things the ego will start to do is say, when you are abiding in your presence, to kind of hook you back into the identity of the false self, of the little self, is now what? Or think that this is like boring somehow or something. And that's because you're addicted to the highs and lows. You're addicted to the duality. You're addicted to the roller coaster ride. You're addicted to the adrenaline, the dopamine, the oxytocin. You're addicted to it. That's why you don't want to slow down. That's why and there's nothing wrong with that. You're signing up for another wild ride. And you're going to go for another ride, and then you're going to either come into, like there's nothing wrong. You just decided to jump on another wild ride, which is going to have the throes of duality, so to speak. This isn't about like even transcending duality. Duality is still going to exist. It all exists within the oneness, but not when you are anchored in your presence. When you move into, how do I say this? When you are embodied in the truth of who you are, the world will still be doing what it's doing, but you will not be identified with it. You will not be hooked by the duality. You will no longer be looking for that shot in your arm to get another high, right? You will be, so some signs that you're moving more into unity consciousness and inner union with your true nature is that you will be operating more from a grounded, neutral presence. And the first thing the ego will come in and say in the back through the back door is say, well, this is boring. Now what? You're in grounded, neutral presence, which means you care less and less about the outcomes that you once cared about. This is why I'll share, even if you're on the twin flame journey, you won't care as you approach and you live from unity consciousness, eh, inner union. You won't, the desires to uh, have your twin flame back or anything like that dissolve. You won't care one way or the other because you're good either way. Now, when I say don't care, it doesn't mean you reject anything either. Grounded, neutral presence. You don't care and you don't not care. You're more neutral. And the first thing the ego says is, this is boring. Now what? And this will be especially true if you are addicted to the hamster wheel and the high, which most people are. You're addicted to the dopamine rush and you're addicted to the highs and lows of duality, because let's face it, there's nothing wrong with duality. There's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows and everything in between. And that's part of the game that you showed up to play, this game of life. But you are here now to be fully anchored in your divine presence. Things will still play out in the 3D world, but you will be the eye of the storm. You will be anchored in your grounded, neutral presence. You will be conditioning the field from a higher frequency. And when you're conditioning your field from a higher frequency that is no longer tethered by fear-based consciousness, your frequency goes your frequency rises back to the truth of who you are, and you become magnetic for everything that's a match for that effortlessly. Um, yeah, there was something else I was going to say. The paradox here is because everything is backwards from what the mind thinks it would be. So I'm circling back to a theme I talked about a little bit ago. Everything is backwards. For example, one of the things that falls away is boredom. So that's like the funny thing, because there's never boredom anymore when you're living from your presence. Every now moment is like alive. There's and it doesn't even matter what you're doing. There's boredom is not something that's really experienced anymore. But yet, isn't that interesting that that's the first thing the mind will say, to try to come in the back door and hook you from being present in your grounded, neutral presence, your point of power. So So I hope this was valuable. I think, I don't know how long this is, but I feel like this transmission is complete. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment wherever you're listening to this. And if you are on the ascension journey and you want to treat it as such, and you want to stop seeking external validation outside of yourself and being hooked by the egoic minds like a little rag doll tossed back and forth between the dualistic mind, and you want to start anchoring into your embodiment of your divinity, then I welcome you to join the membership, Embody the Empress, because ultimately that's what this is. It's an awakening and embodiment process. It's part of your ascension timeline. And it's not even a process per se. So it's very paradoxical because you can't get here. You're already here. But there is a purification process that ensues even after self-realization occurs. In the experience I've experienced over here, there was rapid fire purification post self-realization, because there's a deepening and embodiment, self-actualizing of this as you more and more embody your divinity. But your highest timeline is your ascension, which means you're not taking the separate sense of self with you, which means the part of you that's still being hooked by fear and hooked by external validation and seeking outside of yourself in the 3D world, trying to achieve things and get things to reflect back to you what you think you need in order to fill this void of not feeling good enough, lovable, worthy, or abundant. Like all of those things are not good. That's not, you're not taking that with you into your highest timeline. And I can just share with you that it can feel like a bumpy ride, and you can have more resistance on this path. The more you try to hold on, the more you try to control the process instead of fully anchoring in your truth and knowing and trusting. And your faith will be, uh, your faith will be, I don't want to say the word tested, but it's kind of like an initiation that that is that is a good signifier that you're very much tipping into your highest timeline when you are operating from so much truth and faith and knowing that fear no longer has a grip on you anymore. And the more you're holding on to things because of fear, the more you will suffer, the more things will continue to crumble. You will not be able to experience the prosperity and the abundance and the love and all the things that you know are meant for you if you are still clinging to a fear-based paradigm. You're moving into your highest timeline, aka 5D New Earth timeline, meaning you're not taking the separate self with you. So I think I've said that enough. If you're operating from the separate sense of self right now because you're listening to this and this is resonating, but at the same time, what I'm speaking to is not your direct experience, and you know that you feel like called in some way to have a sacred mirror reflect this back to you in real time so you can cut through the fluff and cut through the illusion. The membership right now is less than the investment of a pedicure. So I would encourage you to check your priorities of where you're investing your time, your energy, and your money. And regardless of whether it's this membership that I have or any of my other programs or somebody else's or whatever, check yourself just in general where you are investing time, energy, money, or your essence into anything that is no longer serving you. And where can you redirect your focus, your awareness, your consciousness, your time, your essence, your energy, your money into what you are feeling called to create and what feels called to you that feels like abundance, what feels called to you like a knowing, what feels called to you that feels fun, that feels joyful, that feels like self-honoring, because this is what's being asked of you right now, is to make the most self-honoring choices and to stop making choices that are rooted in fear. And the more you make choices that are rooted in fear, the more you're going to have that reflect back to you. And there's no way around it. You have to be able to look fear in the face and make self-honoring decisions regardless. You can no longer be at the mercy of what the mind is telling you anymore. The mind is a liar. The mind tells you all sorts of stuff all throughout the day, and most of it is garbage, the mind will take its rightful seat as a servant on this journey when you fully claim your power and take your power back and begin to anchor in and live more and more from your embodied presence. Your mind is meant to serve you on this journey. It is not meant to be your dictator. And for many of you right now, it's your dictator. It's the little tyrant in your mind that tells you you're not worthy, you're not good enough, that you don't deserve to have love or be abundant or wealthy or have success or whatever. It's all the lies that keep you limited, that keep you playing small, that keep you stuck. You are expansive by nature. You are eternal, timeless, boundless by nature. You are here now, right now. There's nowhere to go to get here. But the journey oftentimes feels like a journey until it's not necessary. And there are sacred mirrors on this journey that's their whole soul calling is to reflect back to you what you already know to be true so that you can remember who the fuck you are and rise into your divine sovereignty. So if that resonates with you, check out Embody the Empress or any of my other programs wherever you're listening to this. And if you have any questions, the best place to shoot me a question is on Instagram at Spiritual CEO. And last announcement is the Forbidden Feminine Sacred Heart Temple is one of my newest creations. Right now, there is the Forbidden Feminine Black Cat Edition in there waiting for you if you want to join. That is not a membership. That is a one-time fee to join the temple. Every time I drop a new edition, the value goes up and the price goes up. So the sooner you jump in, the better rate that you get, but you get lifetime access. And this is so fun. The next edition that's going to be dropping is Sacral Magnetism. So if this resonates with you, consider joining the temple or the membership or both. The membership has live access to me every single week on Saturdays. The temple does not, but they do complement each other very, very well. So I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop a comment if this resonated with you. And until next time, I hope this finds you well. Namaste.